Hey everybody, welcome back to Wargaming Lab. We're continuing with our Germany playthrough. So without further ado, let's get into the action. Another batch of factories and infantry coming out, hopefully by the end of 1937. Start our armored production in 1938. A lot of combinations of things here that we can spread out once we build those up. It looks like our light bombers are still Junkers Ju-52 spec, which is interesting. It's a pretty old design, usually transport only. See, there's the transport version. Okay, we got some cruiser technologies coming out, so we're almost to the point where we can build our first batch of heavy cruisers. Let's see. Well, not almost, but getting closer. We'll probably put these coastal subs into an upgrade run at some point, so they're not quite so old. They're Type 2s right now, which are more coastal oriented. So their mission range is pretty limited, 650 kilometers, and their speed is very slow. They're basically training submarines in all but name. Got some inefficiencies here. So cruiser horizontal thickness, protection horizontal, and electronics. Here, this gives us destroyers and torpedo boats and frigates later on, I think. Oh, it says we can key more technology too. Let's just do some more 1937 tech. There's diesel engines, tank destroyer. Let's do tank guns and small caliber tank cannons. And we'll do mountain warfare equipment. That'll get us mountain divisions, which we'll be using quite a bit. Our advanced training center is finished from the Blitzkrieg tree. Let's get air liaison going. So that's a role play of throwing in some Luftwaffe air liaison into our ground units to better coordinate air support. Let's check our decisions here. So we can buy nickel from Canada. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll get the Waffen SS divisions going. So we can invest some money in our zinc mines. I think that's always worth it, especially early on. So when we finished that chain of decisions in the beginning, where we were deciding like who our parents were and what we did, that spawns a U unit. So this is sort of like your king unit. So if your king unit dies, I think there's some pretty significant negative effects of that. So we'll just assign that to Hitler. We'll give it a general. Doesn't have to be a good one, just to provide it some leadership. Let's actually attach Hitler to the overcommand of the army. And you can see there's these political leader tags. So these are just for role playing. So there's the Hitler like actual unit. Goering, Goebbels, and Ribbentrop. We can move these guys around too. And then there's a defense unit based in Bad Reichenau. And there's also an additional garrison unit here, and this has no RP value and it's very low quality, so I'm just going to delete it. Okay, so when we spawned the Waffen SS units, we got this SSVT inspectorate thing, and we have no SS chain of command right now, so we'll just attach that to the army for the moment. These will later on be assigned out. Let's get the clock going a little bit faster. Seaport, rolling artillery barrage. Okay, nickel, we got nickel now, so we've lost the effect of -2 rare materials, so that we just got an additional 2% of rare materials per day. Heavy cruiser armament, HE ammunition, screws, and damage control. Let's just go check cruisers. Okay, our ammunition's a little bit behind. So is our screws, engine, and hull shape. So yeah, cruisers are a little bit behind. They'll catch up quick. Check the upgrade status on our divisions now. So they're about halfway upgraded to 1936 infantry. Famous boxing fight in 1936. Research centers expanded. We gain a research center in Leipzig. That's always good. Return manpower back to pool. Great. So we now have a total of 6 research labs across the country, and that gives a plus 12% research efficiency bonus. It'll usually throw a decision that shows the previous effect that you've lost, which was 10%, so we've only really gained 2% net. Truck and prime mover, that's one of the more important technologies in infantry. Gives a lot of different bonuses to all of our infantry units. And then we're getting some operational doctrine stuff coming out now. So let's queue up infantry training, mobile unit training, armor training, recon training, artillery combined arms, and I think we'll throw in fighter and fighter ground crew training also, and forward air control. We can come back to this. Well, no, we'll do air superiority too. I don't want it to too badly over queue our research, but we can come back. Export of zinc. Yep, we want the money. Spheripoke doctrine. So that was a difficult to research technology, but we've done it. So Italy has conquered Abyssinia. So it occurs to me we haven't looked at the world map much since we started here. So Abyssinia is now part of Italian East Africa, which is this big green blob over here. I don't believe there's any other wars. It's a little bit too early for 1937's China invasion by Japan. The war hasn't really started yet, so there's very limited stuff going on. The Spanish Civil War should start any minute now, and I think we're seeing the first effects of that. Okay. We have a zinc surplus, that's good. Okay, the Spanish Civil War just started. All right, let's look at Spain. So everything in dark brown is nationalist controlled, and everything in beige is Republican controlled. And if you read into the Spanish Civil War, a significant portion of the pre-war army went to the nationalists immediately, and they were largely based in Africa. So you can see that. For whatever reason, the Republicans control Aywin, but that won't last. I've rarely seen the Republicans win in this game. I think they're already in pretty bad shape as soon as this decision fires. So you can see the nationalist capital is in Burgos, and the Republican capital is in Valencia. And we'll check in from time to time on that. Okay, our cruisers are still, even with all those research, they're still the Prinz-Eugen class cruiser. We'll be building at least 4, maybe 6 before the early 40s. It'll be a huge amount of cruiser practical too, which again is not a crucial thing for Germany, but it'll be nice to have. Armor casting. Okay, that's really important. That has a rebound effect on everything, including tank research. So let's just get that higher. We're only going to do 1 run of factories, so you can see we're devoting a lot of our IC to a couple of factory runs, but we're not going to put in any more orders. After this, it'll be all divisions. Portugal. Okay, William Messerschmitt. We're getting more air research bonuses, cruiser fire control. Okay, so the purge has started in the Soviet Union. So Stalin, over the next couple of years, is going to murder, execute, whatever word you want to use, a significant part of his officer corps. So this is the first show trial, which just means it's a trial in name only. They're basically already sentenced to death. And this one's called the Trial of 16. Yeah, so doesn't look good for them. Baltic fleet. We're gonna, let's see what the build time is on these torpedo boats if I put them in for retraining right now. Just give them a, I usually like to give destroyer torpedo boat only captains the spotter ability, because that gives them some surprise chance. So let's do that, and then we'll throw them in for retraining, and let's just see what comes out on the other end. I don't think the IC cost is very high. No, it's not. Torpedo boats are also smaller ships, so they rebuild pretty quick. Capital ship raiders, nice, that'll come in handy for our heavy cruisers. Corps and Army Command. Nice. So we're now Grenadier Spec 38. So they have a, well, there's probably a mix of small arms, but their symbol right now is an MP40, which just means that they're progressing here. We're still at the PaK 36 anti-tank gun, and our engineers are pretty basic. Yeah. So we have a very vanilla 120,000 pre-war army right now. Our first plane runs are going to be coming through here, so we can start building up some plane groups. 1936 Olympics. Racial superiority. Wow, okay, let the Summer Games begin. Alright, our first run of medium bombers is done. Let's check our practical on that. 8.3, not great, not terrible. Let's pull out some of our medium bombers from our older groupings, and let's get these deployed. We'll put them in Berlin right now. For stacking penalty purposes, and I'll go into stacking penalties later, I don't want to do more than 4 bombers or 4 fighters per group. It just basically makes it harder for the air commander to keep track of logistics, and there's organizational negatives to having stacks that are too large. We'll call these guys KG1. We'll give them Keller because he's got Tank Buster and Air Tactician. And let's go in and name these bomber groups. So now that we've pulled them into the organizational structure for the Luftwaffe, we'll also allow them to be upgraded. I don't think there's too many upgrades that are possible at this stage, other than some bomb and twin engine bomber bay, things like that. Alright, we got another order started here. Fighters coming out. Our practical for fighters right now is 10.9, which is much better. Automobile factories in Essen, very good. Heavy industry in Nordhorn, good. Small ship technology, good. I don't think I have any other fighters I can merge with these guys, so I'll just put them in Cologne as our second group. A lot of these initial fighter groups will be leaving in Germany, just as air defense groups. We'll be building more multi-role fighters for our ground support, along with like Stukas and things like that. So. Okay, this is a big RP decision chain that Black Ice has for Germany. So this is called the Göring 4-year plan. It has 2 main tasks: build a strong military and make Germany mostly self-sufficient in food and industry. So that was an issue in World War I, where Germany kind of was brought to its knees through basically a complete lack of consumer goods by the end of the war, and the public population just gave up on the fight. So if we go through with this 4-year plan, we're going to lose a bunch of upfront stuff, which is normal for these investments. We'll gain 10,000 coal liquefaction, which is I believe a technology specific to Germany, right here, where we can turn our coal into fuel using a pretty complex chemical process. But there's some downsides to these 4-year plans too. So one of the considerations too is that Göring has to be the armament minister, and right now our armament minister is well, I think Bice renamed this to Minister of National Defense, but I'm pretty sure this is the armaments minister. So let's see if we can change it to Göring. Huh. Oh yeah, no, there he is. Okay. We'll change him, and then we'll say yes to the 4-year plan. We gain some air organization, but we're losing some industrial efficiency, but that's not a big deal. Alright, so our first sub comes out. Let's we're gonna go through and organize these groups. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4 light cruisers, along with 1, 2, 3, 4 destroyers. That's our first fleet. Give Gatto the control, and they'll be part of the North Sea group. All right, and then these guys will be the second North Sea group. Obviously need to flesh that out some more. We'll give them Bachmann, give him a promotion. Okay, the pocket battleships we don't want to merge because their bonuses and other things are affected by spotting and other things that are specific to this kind of ship. And if we put them in a stack of other ships, they become more just like a regular heavy cruiser, which is there's nothing wrong with, but having them on their own is better for now. And then I believe there was a bug, and there still could be, I don't want to find out, where if you merge them, you can't pull them back out individually again. So I don't want to take that chance. I'm going to change some of these generals here. These guys aren't that great. Let's see, Shear and Bonte. Okay, and then this will just be our reserve fleet. And then we do still need to fix our submarines. So 1, 2, and I don't want to do groups of more than 2 submarines per. That's the first Unterseeboot coastal group, and I'm going to give them the commanders that have these Seawolf modifiers. Alright, and they might start upgrading as soon as I release them from this bigger group here. We're going to probably split some of these ships up between different ports, so I'm going to actually move our surface fleet to Kiel for the moment, and they'll go through the Kiel Canal, which is this canal symbol. It's not a river. Alright, they're rebased. Wilhelmshaven will be mostly subs for the moment. Okay, since we have such a huge force of these coastal subs, I probably would benefit from upgrading them a little bit, just so they're not completely useless when the war starts. I don't want to do this all right now because it's kind of dull, just reassigning these groups, but you get the idea. Okay, we'll do more later. And then we have our first ocean-going sub. So you can see the mission range on these coastals is 650 kilometers, and then our Type 7 is 1,600 kilometers with faster submerged and surface speed, and I believe lesser visibility. So this is how visible they are to, submarine hunters. 6.75 versus 7. Okay, yeah. So these are really not good. They're gonna get smacked by the British. They're just too slow. Their range is too short, and they're super easy to find. And their convoy attack value is low too, 2.57. If we compare that to our Type 7 with a 5, that's almost twice as good. So this will be the. Okay, that'll be the first normal submarine group. Let's give them a Seawolf. Wait, I just think I organized that wrong. No, that's right. Alright, so the first impact of the 4-year plan happens to us. We're losing supplies, money, and metal, but we're gaining 5% IC efficiency for production. So that by itself is worth losing Hallmar Schlacht in that position, but he's still our head of intelligence. Okay, we got another corps of infantry coming out soon. Let's fix our technologies here. We can build special HQs for certain kinds of units. We'll be doing that later. We don't have special units right now. Okay. And then infantry. When these two, at least when this third corps finishes, we're going to reintegrate the Rhineland. I don't think the French are going to do anything. Okay, we've got a party congress and military police. And basic anti-tank ammunition. So this is pretty important. Up to now, our anti-tank units have been pretty weak. They start to get much better as you research these ammunition technologies. So that'll make a huge difference. And if I click on our first division, click on the anti-tank regiment, or sorry, not click on it, just to highlight it, you'll see basic anti-tank ammunition there is increasing in value. Political feeds in government. This is a, I believe it's triggered by how unified your party is, but this is a kind of a roll of the dice, and unfortunately we rolled poorly, so we get a temporary -10 leadership modifier, which I don't think is going to be a huge problem. We lost maybe 2 projects there. Not the end of the world. Okay, let's see if we can trade some resources. We could really use some molybdenum. Let's see who can sell us that. Let's upgrade our seaports. Okay, we get some other decisions here. So we get an option to historically build up the Luftwaffe. I'm going to say no, I have my own build-up planned. We can order the Bismarck. I don't want to because it's too expensive. And we can do some Spanish Civil War stuff. So extra modifiers and intervention. So we can choose to send volunteers, and we can pick a side right now. We're going to pick the nationalists, and we're going to give them, it looks like they're still struggling in central Spain, so we're going to give them a big boost. I think this is just for role play because I don't see any negatives for us. And then I believe that's it. There was another decision in earlier versions of Black Ice, but that's it for now. Okay, we're still pretty far. Let's check our spies in Austria. So there is an Austrian Nazi party now, although it only has 1% popularity. I'm realizing why we haven't made progress now. I haven't been paying attention. We don't have enough spies, so let's bump up our espionage to maybe 1.5 and see if that makes a difference. Spanish Civil War. Okay, so we're going to break the Reds, so we're getting a relationship bonus with the Spanish state. Tank destroyer, hydrophone, that's always good. Small ships. Hydrophone. Alright, let's queue up small warship engine and small warship armament, and since those are behind, let's move them to the top of the tree. They're 1935. Our torpedo boats are half done. So I think that's moving from World War I tech to like late 1920s, early 1930s tech. That's definitely better than nothing. Our first factories are coming out now, so we're going to get an increase in industrial capacity when that happens. Let's add another practical order of fighters. Okay, our other divisions are coming out. So let's put them in Cologne. 1, 2, 3. Let's get them integrated into the order of battle here. Let's just rename them real quick. We'll assign them to a new army, so this will be our second army. And this army will be guarding the Saar and the Belgian border. And we'll give them a honcho. Let's see, let's go with von Bock. And then let's get these guys to the border here. So we'll go 1, 2 to Trier, and then 13th to Durin. Let's get some generals in those slots. And Woldrig. Great. Okay, we're almost ready to reintegrate the Saarland. Got more divisions coming out. Remember, when divisions are first spawned, they have 0 organization, so this division, if it were to be subjected to combat in this very moment, it would immediately shatter. And what shattering means is it will disappear from where it was in combat, and it'll go to Berlin, and it'll be both 0 organization and next to 0 strength. So the division will be basically a division on paper only, and it'll rebuild at that point. But that doing a lot of those shatters and rebuilds has a big negative impact on our reinforcement, and if we're shattering too many divisions, we're going to be using a ridiculous amount of our IC just to rebuild divisions that we already own, which is obviously very bad. So, cool. Okay, our first factories are coming off the line, so we'll see our IC value start to go up. Get armored cars thrown in there. We'll need those in a minute for tank divisions. Okay, first factories are done. Okay, we're going to sign the Anti-Comintern Pact, which is like an anti-communism pact with Japan. Let's propose it. Japan accepts. Advanced educational investment is done, so we don't have to worry about that until 19. Alright, so you can see our order of battle for AG West, 168,000 men. Okay, we're up to 189 IC. $191. Okay, so we can slowly, if we decide to, I'm not going to do it yet, we can increase the size of our individual regiments through this brigade strength decision. So infantry is already 3 out of 3. Armor is 3 out of 3. Recon is 3 out of 3. AT is 2 out of 3. So we'll probably do these two next year. And that'll bump up the amount of men in these, well, from this number it's not a regiment, so this is more like a battalion. So anti-tank battalions will have more men, and along with the engineers. And they tend to take huge losses in battle. So the more men you have in there, the less likely they are to run out of strength. Okay, Leipzig factory's done. We should be hitting 200 IC any moment now. Okay, that's good, that's good. Yeah, cruisers are coming along. We're going to be able to add, let's actually queue up some. Let's see, we got fighters, bombers, and subs for practical. Let's queue up 5 more infantry. And then let's check and see if we can make... Can I make mountain divisions yet? No, it's partly because I think I can't, because there's a decision that fires sort of this winter that allows construction of mountain divisions, and I don't have that yet, so can't quite do that yet. Heavy industry expansion. So one other cool thing, so it says modify heavy industry by 1 in Schwerin. The next question is where is Schwerin? So I can go down to here. I didn't go over these in the early tutorial videos, but there's some options down here. This is battle plans, which I'll go into later when we're planning out, future campaigns. Battle plan editor, same thing. Victory conditions, we can go over that later. Strategic effects, we've already gone over that. And then find province. This is a big one, so we can just type in Schwerin and then click on it, and it'll immediately zoom. So we can see that this is where that heavy industry is going to be built, and now I can see it pop in. We're going to be adding anti-aircraft guns to our factories in a couple of years. So right now they're undefended. This is the anti-aircraft gun value. Gain a shipyard in Brownsburg. Let's just do the same thing. All right, that's over in East Prussia. Okay, we gain a capital shipyard. That'll help with our production of our heavy cruisers. Okay, another infantry division's out. Let's put this one in Aachen, which is not part of the Saar, so we can put divisions there immediately. The guys with Fortress Buster and logistics I want to save for corps level commands and special units, so we'll go with von Schwedler. Okay, we're at 181,000 men. So we have enough units now. I'm going to reintegrate the Rhineland. So the decision for that is called block lift the Rhineland. Click OK, and then we get a historical little tag here. It says, once the home front was secured, Hitler turned his attention to foreign policy with 4 increasingly daring acts. On the 16th of March 1935, the Treaty of Versailles was violated by Germany as military conscription was reintroduced. So that happened before the game started. The treaty stated that the German army should not exceed 100,000 men. All right. When nothing more than official protests from England and France followed, Hitler proceeded a year later, on the 7th of March 1936, so we're doing it a little bit later, to occupy the demilitarized Rhineland, again violating the Versailles Treaty. So, reoccupy, and we see that we gain a bunch of materials, metal, rare, and we get factories, infrastructure, industry, and rare materials across this area. And just to remind you guys, this area is everything in grayish purple. So these provinces here. Okay, say reintegrate, and those resources should pop in. I think it might take until the day change. Yeah, there they are. Okay, so let's move our divisions in. You can see there's some pre-war fortifications that we can move our units into, and that'll help with defense a little bit. Let's go this guy to there, this guy to there, this guy to there, and this guy to there. I'm not so worried about the Belgians right now. Great. Okay. Alright, so we're at the border with France, and you'll see that they're going to do some organizational changes now that they can detect units on their border. And just to remind you guys, the AI has the same limitations that we do. So if I go to Intel map mode, we're only able to see about 1 territory into their country. And I will change that later as we gain more spies. Depending on their spy value in Germany, and right now we have a pretty high domestic spy ability, and we've caught 7 spies so far, they probably can only see maybe 1 or 2 tiles into our territory as well. So yeah, corps technically are units on the battlefield, but you can see it's just a staff of 500 and a headquarters, so these guys cannot be hit by partisans or enemy divisions, otherwise it'll shatter almost immediately. You can integrate defense units and even infantry if you want into these headquarters, but I tend not to because you're just adding more logistical strain when often it's not necessary, especially if you have units behind the lines to manage things like that. So, okay, cruiser screws. Okay. We're going to finish up with some more organization and I think call it at that video. So let's go up to our Baltic fleet and just check our torpedo boats that just came out. So it says they're 1941 class, and I think this is just a weakness of our mod, because technically we haven't researched 1941. I think just based on the ASW technologies alone, the game is modeling this as a 1941 class, but it's definitely not. It's 1936 at best. So we don't want to draw too much from that. All right, let's reintegrate this fleet. And this will be our Eastern Flotilla. And we'll give this an older general. Let's go with Marshal. And these guys will be based out of Königsberg. And they're primarily going to be a shore bombardment group. So they are upgrading now. I have an FIC now that I'm not too worried about that. They will get a little bit better with the upgrades, but fundamentally they're a World War I era pre-dreadnought, so they're very, very slow. Alright, we have IC available. We're at 225 now. Let's put in... Okay, we're gaining economic focus stuff. That's great. When the year switches over, we're going to get some decisions about what we're going to do this coming year. One more RP thing fired, same as before. I think that's part of the base game, so we just see it twice. Zinc mines online, great. We already paid for those. Okay, we got 10 more infantry divisions coming out. One more corps is going to be going to 2nd Army. And then the other corps is going to be starting our eastern grouping facing Poland. Let's do one more infantry corps. And then I'm going to add some fighter builds and some submarine builds. When this one comes out, I'll add another medium bomber build. We have a money shortage. That's not too bad. Cruiser damage control. Damage control for cruisers. Where is that? Oh, here it is. Okay, so we can actually train that up right now. That's 1937. And then we still have some free spots, so let's look for things that are worth training here. I don't believe these unlock until we finish these two. Air systems. Okay, fuselage aerodynamics and wing aerodynamics. Those will be good. Transports, let's throw in transport hull and engine as well. We're not doing battleships. Carriers, eh. We can throw in some of these too. Let's go with cruiser training, spotting, decision making, destroyer crew training. This doesn't affect cruisers. Destroyer escort role. And we can do escort specialization, but we're not escorting convoys, so I don't want to lose the positioning value, however small that is. We'll throw in twin engine bomber and ground crew training, tactical air command, and then we'll throw nav, naval strike and port, airbase, logistical interdiction, and battlefield interdiction. And these are all different kinds of missions you can do. We'll get into that more when the war starts. Okay, the second show trial is up. Looks like a bunch of other lesser figures are going to be killed. United Kingdom annexed Egypt. I'm not exactly sure about the history behind this, but It was a nominally independent state prior to this, and now it's fully controlled by the British, and that's going to be true until after World War II. Okay, it's 1937. Let's check our yearly decisions. Espionage focus. I'm going to stick with economic spying for the IC efficiency. Bonus, let's go with long-term investment. And that's it. Okay, we get to decide on what that long-term investment is in a minute, I think. All right, cool. Our first railway gun is out of construction, so we get two. Sorry, not out of construction. It's been basically rehabilitated because these are World War I era cannons. Kustenkanon L42s. These are pretty crappy. We're gonna get better ones very shortly, so I'll say no need. Okay, these are better. 3 24-inch pre-dreadnought guns were placed on new mounts. These are better. But we're only going to be using maybe 2 railway guns at peak for Leningrad, so I still don't want these. We're not going to end up using them. And they're only good at urban attack. They're not good at defense, so we don't want to spend too much on those. Okay, the remainder of our first run of factories is about to finish. Okay, we're now able to enact war economy. So, or no, we were before, and I said I wasn't going to do it because of war exhaustion. I think this is a new thing with the recent BICE update, so I'm going to stay war exhaustion. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that quite yet. We might start it in late 1938, early 1939, just to get that extra last-minute IC boost. Okay, we just finished a bunch of factories. We'll see this value increase pretty quick. Okay, all of our infantry on the western side is mostly upgraded now. Alright, let's start our first run of armor. And some of these pre-arranged setups can't be built because we don't have certain units, so let's just start our own. So we need, we don't have medium armor either, that's part of the problem, but that's okay, we can upgrade it later. So let's go... This is a Panzer 1, so these are very early tanks. Panzer 1, a regiment of Panzers. We'll do a regiment of motorized infantry support. I don't want to do a full regiment, I want to do a battalion. In Black Ice, these regiments often really stand for 2, because you can see that our division already has 10,000 men. So that's actually 2 regiments of light armor, plus a single regiment of motorized infantry. It depends on how you want to RP it. We want a recon element. Well, actually, first of all, let's put in our division quarters and trucks so we can at least see what our combined arms bonus is. So we want some kind of fire support. Let's go with, let's see. Medium artillery, when BICE launched, was more of a motorized artillery thing, but now it's just medium artillery, and you can see that the kilometers per hour is slower. And right now our division's speed is 7 kilometers an hour, and I don't want to mess with that too much. Any of these artillery units actually slow them down quite a bit, so let's just think about that for a minute. I definitely want armored cars for the recon bonus. I want motorized engineers for sure. And then I get to choose one more brigade. Later on we'll be wanting to do self-propelled artillery. But right now we don't really have anything that works that well for that slot. So when can we research self-propelled artillery? 39. Okay, that's a long way to wait. I'm not going to wait till 1939 to build tanks. That's a bad idea. Back to division builder. I think we're just going to build them with a 6 out of 7 brigade, and we can always add brigades later. Let's put in a run of 5. These are our first 5 panzer divisions, and you can see they're very expensive to build, partly because we have had a little bit of practical decay to the point that we're at 7.9, but also it's the beginning of the game, so getting a run-in of these early is going to help our practical quite a bit, and they'll be done by mid-1937 once we unlock a little bit more IC when these projects finish. Government secretary focus, not now. So currently we're very, very low popularity. Let's just check on our politics. So, wow, yeah, this party has degraded, and social conservatism is taken off. We're still supporting the ruling party max with our spies. There's not much else I can do. Well, yeah, I'm not going to worry too much about that because there's not much I can do. Let's send some spies. Let's check on our existing spies. So Austria, let's send some spies to Czechoslovakia, and they're going to do the same thing. So disrupt national unity 2, support our party 3, and counter espionage 1. Great. And we can see what they're building too, and I'm confident that this is accurate because we have 9 active spies in that country. Okay, we got another infantry division available. This is going to be our next corps. Great. And I think that'll be it for this video. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. As always, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Thanks again for watching. Goodbye.